Well, I'm going to make this video as short as I can. I'm fighting an illness and just got some antibiotics like yesterday. So, it just started the other day. It was strange. I went out to my mailbox in my little town and I was fine. I ate lunch. I didn't feel sick. Nothing. And it was so very hot outside. It was about 95 to 98 degrees that day, and all of a sudden I started noticing my temperature gauge in my car was going way over to the red zone. And I didn't have any usually I have like a little bit of antifreeze with me in the car, but I had used up what I had, and so I didn't have any with me. And then the little market down there, I went in there to see if they had any. They were trying to sell it for $20 a bottle, and I'm just like, I can't do that right now. I wound up buying a little bottle of spring water, and I put some of that in the overflow tank. And then I was stuck out there in the heat trying to do all this stuff, and I just suddenly got a raging fever, and I was feeling worse and worse, and I had to move my car back over, to a place where I could get it in some shade. And by that time I was shaking because of almost a heat stroke situation. So I physically was going downhill fast, and I went to this place where I knew there was a restroom in this little, entryway where people can sit, and they have a coffee shop over there. People can drink their coffee or whatever they like. And so it was real weird. I remembered a mechanic telling me years ago that if your car is overheating like that you should turn on the heater and make the fan go full blast on the heater. So that turned out to be helpful, because after I waited for a while so that I could cool off, and I went to get a rag for my head that was cool underwater and to cool off my arms, and I was just feeling worse and worse. And oh man, I just thought, here we go again. I'm not going to have a car all of the holiday weekend. So I waited for a while, and the temperature went down enough to where it was at the halfway point. And then when I turned the heater on full blast, it started going lower. So I tried to get back into town and drive it over to the mechanic shop, who I called, and they were telling me I should probably have it towed in, but I was not well. So anyway, whatever happened, I have no idea. It would just hit like, bolt of lightning. I managed to get it to the mechanic, and turns out it busted a heat valve or something, that like a hose busted, so all of the radiator fluid had drained out and all of this. So anyway, it was spewing all over the place apparently, and I managed to get it in there, and they said they could take a look at it on Friday and maybe get it back to me if they could get the part. That's when she called me on Friday morning and told me that she could even come get me. So thankfully on Friday morning, the doctor's office closes real early on Fridays. So if you don't make an appointment and get in there, you cannot talk to a doctor until the holiday weekend is over. So it's like, oh man, I feel so bad. And I got some stuff to try to help me with congestion and all this stuff. So I was taking that, and the doctor prescribed something for me. So I had to go get it at the pharmacy, And I was able to do that before the doctor's office closed down. I was able to get my car back before they're closed for the whole weekend. And thank God, because, I had to get some things. Anyway, so I guess what I wanted to talk about on here, and, I'm on these antibiotics right now, and it is helping, but I still felt pretty crummy today. And I haven't been doing videos for a day or two, except the one I already had partially edited. So I hope you won't mind that I'm not going to stay on here long, but I just wanted to tell you something that I've been noticing, and I just wanted to see feedback from people to see if anything's happening or you're noticing anything with your grocery stores, particularly the Kroger store. I don't know why they decided to redesign the Kroger store inside. It was just fine the way it was, and actually it was a really nice store. But they decided to start revamping everything, and everything is out of place and in disarray. But here's what I noticed, and that is that there were really wide aisles so that there was enough room for even 3 carts to go around each other. And now they're narrowing the aisles so you're constantly bumping into the oncoming cart. I don't know why they're doing this. Another huge thing that dawned on me is that, when you first go in the store's entrance and you walked right into the flower section, it was big, bright, and open and beautiful. Well, now it's like they're sealing it down, and revamped the whole thing so it's ugly. I can't say any more about that, but when you would go in that entryway, you could go directly back to all of the personal goods, and then the bakery was over there in that far corner, and the meat area. And when you were in the produce department, there was like a long aisle of bagged produce, and then there was a big wide aisle that you could clearly go through to get to the other areas like the bakery and to get to the herbal section and some of the medicines and to get to the pharmacy. And I'll talk about that in a moment, but here's the thing that I noticed. They completely took both things of the vegetables, the aisles. One was like to the left, and then there was a big wide opening. They cut that off so there's no opening. So you've got the vegetables in this big L shape, and you cannot get through to, guess what? The meat department. And when you finally, there's 2 ways to get to the meat department, first of all. You either have to go through the flowers, back to the pharmacy, and around, and then you have to go around that way. Or you have to go clear to the end of the produce and go around the back way. There is no access to the meat anymore like there was. They've cut it all off. So what it does is it prevents the customers from focusing on getting meat and refocusing on, here's the vegetables, come and get those. So the access to the meat has literally been cut off in a major way. Now, the other thing too is the price of their meat. You used to be able to get a ribeye steak that was about maybe this size. You could get one anywhere from $7 to $9, usually around the $8 range. But the prices of just one of those steaks now is somewhere around $23 a piece. So clearly the globalists are trying to, they don't want the cattle, they don't want the gas, the methane in the air that they produce, and with all of their climate lies. So here we go with making the meat too high priced where people cannot afford the meat. They're trying to force people, to buy lower grades of meat. And here's the stupid thing about it. Okay, so you put these big roasts and stuff, and you make them $40 a piece, or you make $23 a price of one ribeye steak, and then it doesn't sell. So it goes beyond its date. Then they have to have a quick sale to get rid of it, and by that time, most of them are turning this ugly brown color. And so it's pointless. Why don't you just reduce the price of meat so you don't have to reduce it at the spoilage stage? Does anything make any common sense anymore? Now, the other thing they've been doing is getting rid of the checkers and the checkout stands, where the people at the store that are getting paid to bag your groceries and stuff are no longer having a job. It's you that's got to do all the work. And they're doing these, Walmart's been doing this for years, the self-baggage and all of that, and the grocery store's been doing that, but it's been very limited. But now they're putting, like a checker stand that has the conveyor belt, where you have to go do that too. And here in my state in Colorado, they started charging you for every bag you use. So now we've got that added fee. If you forget your bag or leave it in the car accidentally, then you're going to have to buy bags, 10 cents a pop for a bag. So it used to be a courtesy so that you could carry the things that you bought from their store. No longer any courtesies to the customer. So one big huge thing that I just noticed was that they have increased the security and surveillance like you cannot believe. And I think that I was looking this up, and I think what I saw, they are on these pipes that descend from the ceiling, and there's a ball on it. Well, that's like a closed circuit TV camera. And they were all the way down at the end of all the checkouts. But that wasn't all. They didn't just have this CCTV. They had little surveillance cameras all the way down at the checkouts, on top of those big CCTV cameras. So then, last week or something, I went in there and I was bagging my own things, putting each item through, and I had something go wrong with the way that it rang up something. So the person literally, there were cameras right above each one of the checkouts, as well as these other cameras. So there's surveillance. So they were able to turn the camera on and reverse and rewind and see where it had made a mistake. So it is watching you bag your own groceries. And why is that not enough surveillance? This is not Fort Knox. This is the grocery store. I'm really taken back by the amount of surveillance that is taking away our privacy and our freedoms to just go to the grocery store, buy some groceries, and leave. They're just making it so expensive, and the elites are behind this whole evil, as you know. So I decided to kind of do a little research, and you're not going to believe this connection, because I just did the videos about making the connection of the laser weapons at Lockheed Martin, and then that the CEO of BlackRock has shares in the Lockheed Martin and Vanguard, and I think it's called State Street or something like that. I'll tell you in a minute. But they were kind of behind all of these things, and BlackRock was behind, they had some violations for persecuting indigenous native people. And I was thinking of the Maui fires in that case, and how you can add that to the mix, because they're with Israel all in cahoots with Lockheed Martin making the laser weapons, and then BlackRock and then Vanguard, and so they're kind of controlling things. It's said that BlackRock owns almost all of the banks. They run the insurance companies. They have displaced people out of single-family homes, and what else? A lot of things they've done. And there's something else they're controlling. Oh, all the media. So that explains why there's not the proper information getting out about these fires. I was just reading that there's been over 600 fires in Louisiana alone. And there's no way that that is something natural happening. I'm telling you. I've lived on this planet long enough to know before the fires and then when all the fires began. And 600 plus fires, you can't tell me there's not something going on. Plus all the food plants being burned down or exploded, or the cows were blown up, or, it's just one thing after another that these wicked people are doing. I wanted to know if you've noticed a huge increase in the surveillance in your grocery store. Now, I'm sure, because one of the Kroger stores had one of the big, massive, I don't really want to talk about it, but there was a thing where a shooter happened at one of the stores. So I don't know if that's why they're putting this CCTV in, but just listen to these things and notice that they're rearranging the store so that you're no longer having real direct access to meat, especially the beef. And they put the chicken and pork in these lousy little old-fashioned bins, not like the new refrigerated cases. So I don't know what they're thinking or what's going on, but the store is quickly, raising their prices so high, and yet the registers are all diminished. It's so much smaller and in a tight space, and it's just awful. So let me tell you something about who's involved with this CCTV and all of the stuff that's going on. CCTV controversial because CCTV footage is often used as evidence in court proceedings if criminal acts or the behavior of suspects is caught on camera. The increased use of CCTV is controversial because many are concerned that it is an invasion of people's civil liberties and privacy and freedom, and that is a fact. What is the full form of CCTV? Is closed circuit television. It's often known as video surveillance. In this system, the components like video camera, display screens, recording equipment, etc. have a direct connection. CCTV means closed circuit television and is commonly known as a video surveillance technology. Closed circuit means broadcasts are limited, closed, to a selected group of monitors, unlike regular TV, which can be received and viewed by whoever sets up a reception device. So if they're claiming that all of these people are stealing groceries, why is today any different than 50 years ago as far as that goes? It's because they're making the price of food so high that people can't afford certain things. People are struggling to pay for their families and their children, and, it would be sad if they resorted to that. But I looked this up. What is the most stolen item in a grocery store? Cheese. Got to go out to the store and steal me some cheese wheels. Oh, just kidding. It's cheese, but why? It would probably surprise you to learn that the number one shoplifted food item in the world is not a pocket-sized sweet or high-end liquor, but rather everyone's favorite burger topping cheese. That's kind of weird, huh? Or maybe the rats just know where to shop.
Shh, I got this
Okay. Do grocery store cameras have audio? In short, the answer is yes. CCTV camera systems are designed to record audio in conjunction with images. However, whether or not an employer or retail location is allowed to record audio is another matter entirely. So I'm sitting here thinking, why the change? Why change this Kroger store into this surveillance society? You know, making the aisles so tight that you can't get around anyone, and closing off the meat section to where it's ridiculous that you have to go all the way down the main aisle and go all the way to that end and around. Or you have to go all the way to the end of the now L of the produce and go clear around that way to get to the meat. And that's including things like hot dogs and, you know, the chicken, the pork, and the beef is kind of the furthest over. All the cases, like the pork's first, that's what they want you to buy, and then the chicken, and then the very last thing that's the hardest to get to is the beef. So I looked this up and got a shock out of doing, you know, God oftentimes reveals things to me, and then the very next video he adds more to it, and I'm just blown away by it. But listen to this. Who is the biggest shareholder for Kroger? It's Vanguard Group Incorporated. What types of owners hold Kroger company stock? The Vanguard Group, BlackRock, Berkshire Hathaway, and there is the State Street Corporation. All the ones that have shares in the laser creation weapons of Lockheed Martin, and Vanguard and State Street apparently have shares with BlackRock, from what I remember from my video. So Vanguard Group Incorporated, their holdings are 11.48%. BlackRock Incorporated, 8.31%. Berkshire Hathaway Incorporated, 6.97%, and State Street Corporation, 4.74%. So they hold Kroger company stock. BlackRock Incorporated increases ownership in LMT, Lockheed Martin Corporation. So I told you about the CEO of BlackRock. He's a Jewish man, and he is the CEO, but BlackRock's shares are owned by a large number of individual and institutional investors. The biggest institutional shareholders, such as the Vanguard Group and State Street, are merely custodians of the stock for their clients. I showed you all of those connections between the CEO of BlackRock and you know, how they have the shares in Vanguard Group and State Street manage those shares of BlackRock with Lockheed Martin, and Lockheed Martin's CEO is a Jewish man, and now Lockheed Martin is working with Israel to make the laser weapons. So all of a sudden I see that the people that are manufacturing the directed energy weapons, the laser technology that catches things on fire and explodes it, these are the same people that have the grocery store holdings, stock, and it's BlackRock, it's Vanguard, it's State Street, and with the Lockheed Martin and with Kroger, it's BlackRock, Vanguard Group, State Street. You think there's any connection to the food plants catching on fire? Because that's a direct connection between the grocery store chain and the food production and the directed energy weapon technology. So cityjournal.org stated, by the spring of 2022, the list of fires and other incidents had grown to include more than 90 events. Fires damaged meatpacking plants in Georgia, Illinois, and other states. Millions of chickens and turkeys were destroyed at dozens of farms within a single week. Airplanes crashed into 2 food production facilities, and so on. And we also had the situation where the dairy farm exploded, and I think it was something like 1,000 cows died or somewhere around that. So Marjorie Taylor Greene, of course, she had said, that the left was trying to sabotage the food production plants. Well, herein lies the connection of those who own stocks in the grocery stores that are trying to put the surveillance in, and those that are operating and inventing the laser weapons. So that's not my imagination, that's a reality of who is controlling both things at the same time. Then we had an event that fire destroyed the East Conway beef and pork meat market in Conway, New Hampshire. Sure, some of these plants have, something that happens at the plant, but there was just huge uptick in the destruction of these manufacturing plants, including the Georgia General Mills plant. Now, of course, they try to say that anybody who, thinks that there's food processing plants that have been burning to the ground, that there's some sort of conspiracy hype. But you can't deny that these things have happened, and that, I'm revealing the connection of who's making those laser weapons. The same people have the same stock in the grocery store, and whatever they put in the grocery store. So lots of surveillance going in, and I've never seen anything like it. It's not Fort Knox. You should just be able to go buy a can of soup. So these measures are being put in place for something in the future that they know is coming, because they're going to try to implement whatever it is. So this is just letting you know that I just made this connection of these same groups of people. And I don't think I would have, if had I made this video first, I'm not sure I would have made the connection to, BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street. So the one that's controlling the media, which is BlackRock, is putting out all this information that those of us who are noticing all of the food manufacturing plants suddenly catching on fire and burning to the ground, well, the media is controlled by BlackRock, so they're putting out what they want to call you and everyone else that sees it a conspiracy theorist and a dope that doesn't know anything. PolitiFact has a 95-item list of food-destroying incidents that demonstrates that you are duped if you think they aren't planning a food shortage. I'll just read some of this, and it began basically April 30th of 2021. The Monmouth Smithfield Foods pork processing plant, the Memphis Kellogg plant, the JBS beef plant. Then we have in May of 2022, 200,000 chickens killed in a fire in Minnesota. Also, 3 million chickens destroyed at Forsman Egg Farm facility in Stockholm Township, Minnesota. In June of 2022, 30,000 ducks destroyed at Duck Farm, Berks, Pennsylvania. Now they're claiming that some of that didn't really happen. So basically, I just wanted to bring your awareness to the fact that the people that are developing the laser weapon technology at Lockheed Martin and in Israel are connected to the same groups of people that are controlling what's happening at the Kroger grocery store and probably more grocery stores than that, but I'm not going to get off on a tangent. I just wanted to let you know this connection, and that I think it may have some connection to the fires at these plants, these food processing plants, because they don't want you to have meat, and they're making it more difficult for you to be able to obtain it, even for your own health benefits. Okay, I need to go get some rest, and I will talk to you in the next video. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share, and support my channel. So anyway, this is some new connection that has not been the locking piece in the puzzle until now. Okay, well, if you'd like to help me, it's paypal.me/KKROCOCO. And my donation address is Kimberly, Ballard, Ballard, P.O. Box 246, Niwot, Niwot, Colorado, CO 80544. I thought you would find this kind of an interesting topic, and I'm not feeling good, so I'm gonna have to get some rest and take some more medication. So be praying for me, all right? All right, guys, hang in there. Keep your faith. It's really hard, and, you know, I'm not feeling good in my head at all, so these are crazy times, that's for sure. Anyway, I'm gonna go rest. Good night, everyone.
Oh, man, I didn't take the easy cheese. Really, I didn't. I'm innocent. I just went to Kroger, that's all. I'm not on surveillance, but I do love easy cheese. I'm just telling you I'm innocent, okay?